Okay, let's just do the damn thing, shall we?
You're okay. This one, real fucking ugly.
You're dead.
No, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface. I want to be in the sequel.
You just bought yourself another Saturday.
Christ.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained?
Scream 4, 2011, directed by Wes Craven, written once again by Kevin Williamson. He made his triumphant return for Scream 4, and Erin Kruger, the writer on Scream Trace, took a producer role, similar to how Kevin Williamson did in Scream 3. So they just switched back, and now Kevin Williamson wound up writing Scream 4. This movie is regarded by many as the best sequel in the Scream franchise, but by others as the worst entry into the franchise. You see a recurring theme with the Scream movies? They're very polarizing movies. You either love or you hate them. I think that's very telling of the impact that these movies have had on the genre as a whole. I think if you can create a buzz like that with 4 entries, you're doing something right. And now with 5th entry that did come out in 2022, and with the 6th entry that is coming out next month, you get what I'm saying. I would argue that Scream 4's opening is the best opening of any of the sequels that we've seen thus far. Although I paused a little bit when I said that because Scream 2's opening is pretty hard to beat, if I'm being completely honest. The kill in the theater that we already touched on in the Scream 2 review. If you haven't watched the Scream 2 review, go watch it. But besides the original opening to Scream 1996, I think Scream 4 might take the cake. So basically, let's break it down if you haven't seen the movie, but I know you probably have seen the movie. The film starts off with 2 girls sitting at the kitchen table, and turns out, after they get murdered, we were watching Stab 6. And then the next scene follows 2 other girls talking about how the horror genre has gone downhill and how Stab 6 was horrible and it was just predictable and so on and so forth. And then you find out that you were in Stab 7. And then the real movie starts after that. So Scream is held as one of the most meta horror movies ever made. And Scream 4 just leaned into that even more than we thought we ever could with the 2 fake openings, which, in my opinion, is totally bad ass. The opening scene, Roger Jackson actually is talking in his regular voice, and this is something that we didn't see in the Scream franchise thus far. You can tell it's Roger Jackson on the phone, but he slowly creeps into his Ghostface voice, and I thought that was an awesome touch, because now we're 4 movies in, you gotta try something new, and him slowly creeping into his Ghostface voice and his more violent, more vicious voice, it was perfect way to start this movie. And that's also why I believe the Scream 4 opening, besides the original, is one of the best. Scream 4 is a return to Woodsboro film. We follow a new cast of characters, the new blood if you would, but the original core characters of Sidney Prescott, Dewey Riley, and Gale Weathers do come back. You find out that Sidney has this cousin named Jill, and Neve Campbell, Sidney Prescott, is back in Woodsboro, and wouldn't you have it, the Ghostface murders start happening again. I am on the side of the fence that Scream 4 is a good sequel, one of the best sequels in the franchise. But cinematically, I think it's one of the ugliest. This movie looks like it was filmed with some grease on the camera lens. Everything is really awkwardly lit. Like, if you look at the lighting sources in the film for some scenes, it jumps out at you. It just looks overlit.
Oh, fuck, Ghostface.
Let's talk about Hayden Panettiere's character, Kirby. She is regarded as the next Randy, which is some pretty big shoes to fill if you ask me, but I think Kirby does a great job. I mean, she lists off almost as many horror movies as Randy does in the original. If not more. Honestly, I think it's more.
Halloween, Texas Chainsaw, Dawn of the Dead, The Hills Have Eyes, Amityville Horror, Last House on the Left, Friday the 13th, and A Nightmare on Elm Street, My Bloody Valentine, When a Stranger Calls, Prom Night, Black Christmas, House of Wax, The Fog, Piranha. It's one of those, right? Right?
She's just a horror fan, a die-hard horror fan. And she can answer any trivia question about horror that you could possibly have. And I'm glad they're bringing her back for Scream 6. Jill. Let's talk about Jill. It's kind of a weird dynamic with her and Sydney because they kind of... I don't know. It was just weird, wasn't it? Jill's like, I know, Sydney, you're my cousin, even though I barely know you, but... I don't know. And... the family dynamic of Jill and Sydney was kind of weird, but they pulled it off nonetheless, I would say. Emma Roberts. What a great Ghostface she was. I think Jill, as the killer, teamed up with Charlie was... Yeah, I'm gonna say it. I think Jill and Charlie are second place right behind Billy and Stu. The absolute psychotic break that these two have in the third act is unmatched. The only two that can compare is Billy and Stu, in my opinion. Just the way that they absolutely lose themselves. And they are 1000% on board with the scheme, the plot, the false narrative that they have come up with. I mean, Jill being willing to kill her own mother, being willing to kill her own friends, and then kill her accomplice Charlie, all in the name of 15 minutes of fame. Ridiculous. So she goes about this, then she kills her partner Charlie after he thinks that he's finally gonna get the girl and they're gonna pin it on Trevor, the boyfriend. And then it's just Jill left. Jill and Sydney. And you watch as Jill throws herself into a picture and the glass breaks all over her face. You see her throw herself through a glass table. You see herself stab herself in the shoulder. It's really good stuff. The acting is unparalleled. And I think I failed to mention, Scream 4, by far the bloodiest entry into the franchise yet. They didn't hold back on the blood. I don't know what they were holding back on before, but whatever it was, they just released it in this one. Scream 4 has got blood all over the place, spewing out of necks. Ugh. Scream 4 is a bloodfest, let's just say that. I think the whole premise of the killers filming the murders to piece together their own film was brilliant, because Charlie being the president of the film club at Woodsboro High and them being obsessed with the movies and Jill wanting to be famous, it's perfect. I don't know. I thought it was brilliant. The fact that they were filming these murders and they planned on splicing it together and putting it on the internet, that's meta. They were making their own stab movie. All in all, guys, I give Scream 4 stars, I would say. The only thing I could say that could make it better is if the grease was wiped off the lens and it wasn't overly saturated and lit the way it was. Scream 4. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you on the side that thinks that this is one of the best Scream franchise sequels, or are you on the other side of the fence and you think that this is the worst Scream franchise sequel? Let me know in the comments below. Subscribe, it would help me out tremendously. I've been Maximus Cordillo. Are you not entertained?